I'm so proud, Dr. Sue, to have you here. Dr. Sue is an expert in energy management. She's an expert in manifestation. She's an incredible author, speaker, sought after public speaker. She's been featured in so many incredible publications. Dr. Sue, I think I saw you for the first time at a huge conference that Reverend Michael Beckwith was hosting. Gosh, there were probably close to 500, 800 people there. Plus it was live streamed for thousands of people, Dr. Sue. And you were on stage for the very first time, helping me understand that I was in charge of how I ran my energy. Dr. Sue Morter, reaching hundreds of thousands of people around the world, helping them become, gosh, what would you say? Energy masters of your own future and reality. Dr. Sue, thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
It is my great pleasure to be here with you, Sage. You are such a powerhouse and making such a difference with so many people in the world that there was nothing I could say but yes when you invited me to plug in and play with everyone today a little bit. Yes.
Dr. Sue, tell us about this journey that you've been on. You know, you came from more of a medical chiropractic background. You are now one of the most sought after public speakers in the area of energy and manifestation. Tell us about that journey.
So I was stressed out. I was trying to make, life happen the way all of us try to make life happen. And I was getting migraine headaches and it was horrible. So I sought out meditation as a relief for, just stress management. And I had an amazing transcendental experience, one after another, had this tremendous awakening that changed my life forever. And I started receiving information. It was just a very strange experience for me because I was a doctor trained to follow procedures and get outcomes, etc. And now all of a sudden I was having this transcendental experience. And so as I began to share that truth, these wisdoms that were passing through me, some of my present world fell away and it started attracting other levels of engagement. And I got invited to be speaking at all kinds of different conferences. And my life just unfolded because I made a decision to follow what I was experiencing, to follow beyond the external world, what it was that I knew was true, regardless of the evidence in most people's minds. And that empowered a stream of consciousness that was flowing through me that just changed everything. And I know that's what you're doing, Sage, is that you're tapping people and trying to tickle that awake for them and showing them a systematized way to do that. And I'm thrilled that I got to play a part in the original impetus for you to follow your power and follow your dream, because that's what we're here. It's what we're on the planet to do. So it wasn't always easy. It wasn't always easy, but oh my gosh, has it changed my life experience by, staying the course.
I remember, is it okay if we just get a little bit deep and vulnerable here?
Please.
I remember you talking about, I think it was your mom passing away.
Yeah.
And I remember you talking about it as the most transformational experience of your life. And hearing you talk about it made me terrified to lose my mom. And it wasn't even a year later, Dr. Sue, that my aunt, who was like my second mom, my aunt and her daughter were killed in a horrible car accident. And so I watched my uncle lose his wife and his daughter. I watched my favorite cousin, who was more like my sister, lose her only sister and her mother. And I went back to your words in my grief and in my despair and my anger at God. I went back to your words many times. You said, when we're walking through hell, you said something like, we have to let ourselves have what we have. We have to surrender fully to the emotion, the grief, so that it can do its work in us. And I just want to put a stake in the ground that every single one of you that are walking through a personal transformation as you're starting your business, that we talk a little bit about what it actually does mean to surrender to what's happening in you so that you can move through it, so that you can create your life the way you want. And Dr. Sue, would you just say a little more about the process of that energy maintenance that is ours to do?
Sure. You know, when someone steps toward their dream, there's something that happens inside of us when we say yes to something that's streaming through us. We have an inkling, we have a vision for our lives. And when we start to take a step toward that, the energy in our system starts to activate. It starts to become alive. And when that happens, we can perceive it as this rumbling in our solar plexus or a knot in our stomach or something that just has a hold of us. And we as a culture have a tendency to misinterpret that energy grossly. We think that it's bad, that it's wrong, that it's some kind of energy that's too much for me and I have to back off. I have to, say no, thank you. I thought I could step into that. I thought I could have it. And turns out I can't. It's not true. What's happening is our power is activating. When the solar plexus, which is our power center, starts to come online, it shakes and it quivers, and we misinterpret that as anxiety, and we dupe ourselves. We make decisions to back off or to turn left or turn right instead of following that deep, true personal passion that we once had a handle on or once contacted. And so, what I work with is to teach people how to grab that and start to breathe some life into it. And that's what having what you're having is. Not trying to get away from it, but in embracing it and deciding that if this is some huge energy, then it's going to work for me. It's not going to work against me, because we make a decision that everything in life is in my favor, and I'm not letting any kind of other input determine otherwise for me. It's my job to turn it in to something that works for me. So big beings take on big projects and they get started, right away in their lives. So if you've had circumstances that have been overwhelming to you and it's caused you to hesitate, the power of your true self is pressed down in there, compressed and compartmentalized. And it's just time for you to get a hold of it and breathe it up and out. So the stewardship of that is, as I know, available to you in the courses that Sage is teaching. And I know that I brought some things along today to help support you in that journey, because I know what it takes to connect the dots, because I did all the wrong things and shutting it down and pushing it away, because all of a sudden this Niagara Falls of information was pouring through me, and it changed the course of my life. I was a clinician minding my own business, treating one person at a time, room after room after room. And all of a sudden I was just pulled out to speak around the world. And I had to follow that calling. We have to follow it. But there are ways to follow it with more grace and ease. And that's what I love about you, Sage, is that you're stewarding that for people too.
The feeling is so mutual, and I hope y'all are dropping some of these pearls of wisdom in the comment thread, because what you just said resonates so deeply with me, that there's going to be more energy flowing through you, and that you can either let that energy have its way with you, or you can use that energy as fuel for what it is that you're doing, and you can have your way with it. And I know for me, before I get on camera, before I get on stage, sometimes I'm like, what is even happening in my body? It's like a physiological crazy circus in there. And I think, this feels so crazy that there might be something about this that's wrong. And I just want to really underline what you're saying, Dr. Sue, and have you just speak a little bit more into this in terms of like normalizing that when you guys have new visions, when you have new dreams, when you step into new levels of leadership, it's going to feel different in your body. And like, that does not mean stop, right? Can you just say a little more about that, Dr. Sue? Because it's crazy, it's crazy what happens in our bodies.
Yes, it is. It's the unbridled energy that we haven't gotten to know yet, that we're inviting in. And when it lands and it starts to stir and rise in us, it causes us to desire something, to want this. I want to go for this. I want to start this business. I've always wanted to. And yet it has this wild fire to it, that if we don't know that that's a good thing, we could tend to stuff it back down to try to maintain familiarity. The subconscious is ultimately in charge of our success. What we're doing is aligning our conscious mind to allow the subconscious and the conscious minds to come together, to work together in such a way that the power of the universe can pour through us and out through our vocation, out through our choice, our service in the world, what it is that we want to do to contribute. And so when that's happening, it's a very unfamiliar vibrational frequency. We have to remember that everything is energy, and I'm used to the energies that I'm used to, but now I'm wanting more in my life. So of course, the more, when it arrives, it's going to feel like unfamiliar energy. And it's our job not to decide that unfamiliar is bad. That unfamiliar has to be the thing I've been looking for. It has to be what I've been asking for. It's the rest of me finally showing up. And it's time for me to get to know the rest of who I am. That's going to be evidenced when I step out and go for it and allow myself to be, putting myself out there, refining my skills and developing the ways to bring the products or the circumstances, the services that I want to bring out. As I'm doing that, I need to learn how to steward that energy so that it doesn't consume my thinking mind and spin it out. We have to anchor in our bodies. We have to be grounded and anchored in our bodies to allow all of that to happen with ease and with grace and with power. And so by putting these things together, we have to learn to breathe in our bellies and not get caught up here in our heads and living in our upper lobes of our lungs. We have to draw our breath down into the belly, take big, deep belly breaths, and learn how to land ourselves in the body. Every single time you are up in your head, if you will start breathing in your belly and contract even the muscles for just a slight moment in the base of the pelvic bowl, it's kind of like a Kegel exercise, okay? If you just squeeze this, it's called Mula Bandha, and it's rooting yourself, or locking the energy at the base of your body. What happens is now all this energy gets to be pulled down into your body and filtered through the filtering mechanism that your system is, and all of a sudden you're making sense instead of spinning out and freaking out. All of a sudden you're not caught up in the emotional vortex that your mind can create for you with all the doubts and all the past stories surfacing under these circumstances. So it's time to realize that, wait a second, all of this transformation is in my favor. There are no exceptions to that. It's in my favor. I just have to learn a few skills to be able to ride that wave without falling off the surfboard that I am.
And I think that's the difference between burnout and not burnout, right? Like I've come to understand that I had adrenal burnout years ago, and I've come to understand that burnout isn't from working too hard. It's from lack of proper energy management, right?
Exactly.
It's like we can actually move the energy, right? Like the adrenals burn because like they have fuel for our body. What would you add in terms of just this truth that, this is, I think, like the holy grail. When you have the strategies to grow a business and then you have the energy maintenance tools, like to me, that's the holy grail of aligned feminine success.
Absolutely. What we have to realize is that we are not an individual separate self that's having to go out into the world and try to make a way for ourselves. We're actually a stream of consciousness that is universal. There's literally a cosmic or universal intelligence and energy frequency that's pouring itself right down and funneling into a channel, and it's dropping into this body and revealing out through us. And if we don't get in the way, then the power of the universe is behind whatever it is that we're trying to create, or whatever project it is that we're engaging in. As long as the highest good is in our intentions, the universe will pour through us without exception. And so we oftentimes tend to think that we're isolated, separate individual, have to go out there and make this happen, when in reality, we have to open and allow something to flow through this threshold that this body is and out into the world. And all we have to do is steer it. I have an undying amount of energy that is constantly renewing and rejuvenating and replenishing and flushing itself, because I don't use my own energy. I use a universal energy that is constantly pouring through and is brand new all the time. And as people learn how to do this, and then they direct their minds in an organized fashion, in a systematized approach, but we remain open at the same time, nothing can stop us. Nothing can get in our way. We're here in service. We're made of infinite, abundant, flowing energy, and we can sense it and feel it. And what we're here to provide is there is a way carved open for it. So if you have something innovative that you're working on, you want to bring it forward, don't worry. If the world doesn't understand it, they're going to feel it first, and they're going to want to know more about what you're talking about and what you're doing, just because of the energy that you are emanating and radiating out into the world, because you've made an unwavering decision. that this is your yes, and this is what you're doing. And the universe, actually, scientifically speaking, the universe has no choice but to support what you've decided. This I love about quantum science, and we can use it to our great advantage to be in contribution to the world.
Ah, I love listening to you. It's like cosmic orgasmic energy. It's like a flow that you can tap into that never has to be turned off. I mean, yes, we need rest. Yes, we need sleep. But Dr. Sue, over the years, you've showed me and you've showed many of our clients that we've exposed your work to that this is the opportunity to become a divine channel. This is the opportunity to surrender your ego and become the servant of the divine. And there's nothing more invigorating. And, you know, when you show up for the universe shows up for you. These tools have become a way of life for me. And I'm constantly reminding myself, Dr. Sue is the one that taught me this. And gosh, I wouldn't be here. And, you know, I've been in circles of thought leaders with you, Dr. Sue. I've been circles of thought leaders of women who make multi-millions of dollars who are still asking the question, you know, how do I not burn out? How do I stay resourced? And I feel like when you open up your mouth and you start speaking, everybody starts listening because you have the answers that we all deep down want to know around staying present and not letting our limiting beliefs sideline us, and the wisdoms in the body, you know, the way that you've merged science and spirituality, the way that you understand, you know, our digestive systems and our brains and our neurochemistry. It's just necessary. It's like a basic life skill. So I just want to say thank you. And do you have any last piece of advice that you want to leave our women with?
Yes, I would say there is nothing broken. There is nothing missing. There is nothing wrong. You have, because you are made of, every single vibrational frequency that you need to manifest whatever it is that you feel drawn or called to manifest. There are no exceptions to that. Not even you in your special circumstances where you're duped or you're offline or you're not integrated in some way. The answers are right here for you in this conversation. The things that Sage is offering to you and the gifts and the bonuses that are coming along with this are what you need to put all the pieces together of the puzzle of you. We're here for the grand adventure of awakening to the truth of who we are. And you, for whatever reason, have found yourself in the pathway for that to happen. And it's happening right now. So if you were looking for a sign, if you were waiting and wondering when your sign is going to happen, I think it's sitting in front of you right now. And I'm blessed to be a part of that. Sage's programs are phenomenal. She is a powerhouse and she gets it. That all worlds are important. The worlds of science and spirituality and business and personal development and life balance, all of these things matter. And we have to address them all simultaneously. And so you have found yourself in the nest of someone who can make a difference in your life. And I'm so proud of you, Sage, and I'm so honored to play with you. It is such a joy to share life on this planet with you at the same time. We chose wisely. I chose wisely to be here at a time like this.
My heart is bursting. Dr. Sue Morter, thank you for being a true emissary of light and healing on this planet so that we can all do our work with so much ease and joy and celebration. I love you.
I love you, my dear. Thanks for having me in. It's been a delight to be with you again. Yes.
Bye, Dr. Sue. And if you got value from this episode, I invite you to hit the subscribe button so that we can get you weekly business trainings in your inbox to help you grow your impact and your income the women's way. Head over into the Women Rocking Business Sisterhood Facebook group and introduce yourself there, because women go so much further when we go together. Just click the button to subscribe and we will see you on the other side.